22 years later, and we're getting another Matrix movie. That's insane to me. I still remember in 1999 going to the movie theater. I was 11 years old and watching that first Matrix movie. It was so groundbreaking, from the bullet time, the Hong Kong martial arts wire stunts. It was insane. Now, the sequels weren't very well received. I remember watching them, enjoying them, but not really loving them. Reloaded and Revolutions. And now, 2021, we're getting Matrix Resurrections. Crazy stuff. And I don't know what expectations I had going into this. Like, I remember finding it very ridiculous that we're getting a fourth one just because the trilogy was over in my mind. But everyone in Hollywood is rebooting, creating a sequel, continuing every single franchise that we ever grew up with. So I can't say I'm surprised, because this is a very iconic franchise that's worth billions and gazillions of dollars. Now, Matrix Resurrections. I watched it last night. By the way, lots of spoilers in this one, so don't watch it unless you watch the movie. On one hand, the movie gets a lot of things right. On the other hand, there's so much filler that slows down the movie. Like, you could easily cut out 30 minutes out of this film and it will be much more effective. Particularly in the middle stretch, there's like 30 to 40 minutes that's just so boring. I don't know if it's just me. I want to know all the other Matrix fans, if any of you felt that too. But it was just so slow and painfully boring in the middle that it really sucked the momentum out of the entire movie. And that's too bad, because seeing Keanu again, seeing Carrie-Anne Moss, just Neo and Trinity back together, like, that's really epic stuff. I didn't realize how invested I was in their relationship. In addition, I think the movie's best and most strongest point is the fact that it's so meta. It's constantly making fun of the original trilogy in the guise that Neo now is a video game designer who created a video game called The Matrix. Like, it's hilarious stuff, and it's so witty and it's so smart. The film is peppered with all sorts of Easter eggs and little nudges referencing the original three, and it's just brilliant. When those moments work, it's the most creative kind of continuation I could ever imagine for a franchise. But there are such slow moments in the middle stretch that really ruined the movie for me, and that's really unfortunate. Now, the good news is the fight scenes are still badass. I don't know if there's one insane sequence that pops. Well, maybe there's the helicopter rocket thing that you probably saw in the trailer. Maybe that's the most iconic shot from this one. The scene with Neo and Trinity on the motorcycle at the end with bodies jumping out of the windows, like, that was really creative action. Lots of great hand-to-hand fight sequences. There's the epic fight between Neo and Morpheus in that Japan hut type thing in the middle of the water. There's a fantastic train fight sequence. There's a lot of cool fight sequences. It's worth noting that the original three were directed by Lana and Lily Wachowski sisters, but this one is just Lana, so it's only one of them. I don't know if I felt a huge difference in terms of vision or tone. It seemed pretty in line with the previous three, but it's just worth mentioning. Now, the other huge disappointment for me is that Lawrence Fishburne does not return as Morpheus, and he feels like a pretty iconic part of the original. Same for Hugo Weaving as Mr. Smith. Now, Jonathan Groff, who's from Mindhunter, is actually terrific, but I still feel like not bringing back these two characters is a pretty integral element of the originals that's missing. Yes, we have Neo and Trinity, but you do need Morpheus and Mr. Smith. You know, you can't not have them. Another weak spot for me is Jada Pinkett Smith. Her Nairobi is back. She's aged. The aging is the makeup and all of that is very distracting. I don't think she pulls it off. I think she tries too hard and is very forced. And she's part of that middle stretch that just bored me to tears. There's a lot of new characters as well, and I can't say any of them left an impression, which is another weak spot of the movie. It sounds like there's a lot of weak spots. But the positives, being Neo, Trinity, the action, and some really cool meta nods, make it worth a watch if you're a Matrix fan. But I can't recommend this for someone who's never watched a Matrix film. For example, my wife sat down to watch it with me. She's never seen any of the originals. She was bored out of her mind. She stood up and she left after like 30 minutes in. And I totally get that. Unless you're invested in these characters and this world, I don't think you're gonna enjoy it. But as a Matrix fan, I would recommend it for others like me. I'd give the movie all 6 over 10. It would probably be an 8 if it didn't have that middle 40-minute stretch, but that really knocked it down. So who here watched the movie? Tell me what you thought. Did it live up to your expectations? What were your favorite parts? What do you think really did not work? I'd love to know. Be sure to comment, subscribe for more reviews, turn on notifications for new videos. Thanks for joining.